So we have a briefing on the current economic situation and briefing on the current political situation. Let's start with the political situation. Petr Vektern arrived a couple of minutes early and sat across from me. He was struggling to hold back his smile. We did it, Anton. We won. Finally. All those games we played with the media paid off. Petr's eyes sparkled. The strain of the past months had put a damper on his usual rakish charm, but today he was looking and acting more like his old self. He loosened his tie and undid the top 2 buttons of his shirt. Enjoying the new secretary I picked out for you? Thought you would appreciate her gorgeous set of talents. It's a shame the rest of your staff aren't as easy on your eyes. He gestured to the slight pouch that protruded over his waistband. But hey, back in university, did you ever imagine we would be sitting here in the Maroon Palace? We have to celebrate this great victory. Okay. Let's see. Let's celebrate then. I got hands on something special for us. An heirloom maroon 30-year-old. I opened the expensive bottle of whiskey and poured it into 2 glasses I prepared. The exquisite smell filled the room immediately. 1924, that was my freshman year. Also the year after the revolution. Very difficult times to be honest, but this smells like heaven. The future awaits us, Petr. Toast. I raised my glass and toasted it with Petr before smelling the whiskey and taking a sip. The sweet vanilla tone combined with the oaky taste developed into a lingering smokiness. Petr really seemed to be enjoying himself. What a taste. This is how we should start all meetings, Anton. Okay. We wouldn't get much done, remember the last administration? Yeah, but we are different. All they did was enjoy the privilege. We can't make the same mistakes again. We learned from it all. Yes, we did. The door swung open and Lucian Galade, my chief strategist, walked in. He was a compact man with sharp bird-like features. After briefly surveying the room from wall to wall, he sat down, poured a glass of water and opened his briefcase in a series of quick, graceful movements. Okay, so who is he? A notable figure in Scottish politics. He's a chief strategist. Okay. He has held a variety of significant roles within the party. So he's sociology and law. Completed the mining courses in an unusually short period of time. Okay, 3 years to complete both law and sociology. Jesus. A gap exists in the public record of Galade's activities for about a decade. That's very suspicious. Is he some sort of a spy or something? Re-emerges in the public records in the 30s. Worked as a lawyer and chief strategy officer in multiple think tanks and public relation agencies. Yeah, that sounds 100% like some sort of a spy. Transitioned to politics in the early 30s. Okay. Spokesperson for United Sorlands National Committee. He was advisor to Interior Minister during Sol presidency. Recognized in political circles for his strategic acumen. Okay. While his contributions often go unnoticed by the public, he is highly regarded with the cabinet for his extensive experience and expertise in law and media. Okay, so he seems to be like the kind of, gray person behind the scenes. And considering that we have no record of him for like 10 years, I think we have to be somewhat wary of him, But he was also our earliest supporters, okay? It was crucial to success. Okay, interesting, good to know. Gentlemen, the tall case clock in the room struck 3 o'clock. Damn, you are exactly on time. Hello, Petr. Lucian then turned towards me. He very slightly bowed his head. Only very slightly. Mr. Lucian, you have to learn. You have to learn. Lucian. Okay, let's not waste any time, Lucian. Proceed with the overview. As you wish, sir. Lucian spoke in soft, clipped tones that immediately drew your attention towards what he had to say. Petr and I waited for him to proceed. Let's start by evaluating our current situation. The majority of the Swordfish people demand change. They are more concerned about the economy than the constitution, but they blame the system for their problems. People are losing their trust in our democracy. Why do you think radicals like Bernard Sirkas are becoming more popular? Everyone expecting us to bring the change that the last government did not. Okay. Who is Mr. Sirkas? A Swedish poet, novelist, short story writer, and communist politician. Okay. Franz Richter, leader of the reformists, believes that true change can only be accomplished by transferring some of our powers to the assembly. I'm not transferring any of my powers. We are building tyranny here. I will move into details of their demands shortly. Let's see. If we lose power, we won't be able to execute the change we need to make for the good of the country. It may create issues for us, yes. However, with the reformists gaining more popularity, we may not be in a position to stand against them. Mr. Richter managed to persuade many members of Assembly to give their support for drafting a new constitution. Reformist politicians are quickly increasing in number. While the reformist wing inside our party is still a minority, they could have a tripartisan majority in the Assembly, especially if they unite under Franz Richter. Okay, let's see. Our party must fall in line with our position. We can have a strong divide. True. If our party fractures, it's the opposition that will benefit. Everyone needs to fall in line. The reformist demands are clear. They want to limit the presidential veto powers, ensure that the Supreme Court is independent, and take away the court's right to veto on constitutional amendments. I won't allow them to influence me. We will shape our own future. I agree, sir. The old guard will do its best to preserve the Constitution. Chief Justice Hawker and his allied judges have a great influence over the Supreme Court, which will be tough to break. Old guard? The perpetrated group of influential individuals within the government. The nature and influence of this group, however, are subject of considerable debate and speculation. Okay, theories of deep state, network, okay. Alright. The court also has the final say over constitutional legislation. Without their approval, we cannot even change it. We must break the power of Supreme Court one way or the other. And give that power to me. that's the main objective here. I agree. They have too much power over Swedish politics. We need to take away their vote in constitutional legislation. It is absurd that they get to vote for bills when they aren't even elected. We cannot allow obstructionists to exist. We can figure it out. Our party still holds 130 out of 250 seats in the assembly. We've got the power. However, to reform the constitution, we must receive a 2/3 majority in the Great National Assembly, which is 166 votes, and a simple majority in the Supreme Court that equates to 6 votes. Okay. After we have settled on how to proceed, we will need to talk with our party figures. Our first goal must be to get the 150 signatures needed to start the process. Okay. Following the green light from the USP, we will reach out to the other party leaders to see if they would back our draft. The last step is to convince the justice of the court. The entire process will take a long time, but we must start working with the reform committee to evaluate all possibilities for a new constitution as soon as possible. Hell yeah, that's... The new constitution should give the president wide-ranging powers to lead Swordland into the future. And so our tyranny begins. That's very bold. Then we must start with eliminating the Supreme Court authority over constitutional legislation, and perhaps take their immunity away. Don't forget the reformers want us to address the loopholes in the presidential veto system. I will not limit my veto powers. We need them. Pet looked troubled. It will be very difficult to plead that case to the reformists. Thinking around the legislative power of the Supreme Court while holding your own absolute authority over legislation would look like an attempt to consolidate your own power. That is exactly what we are trying to do. We would lose all the reformist support. We don't need the reformists. We can always work with the NFP. We could package it as a democratic reform. The public might be persuaded, but the reformers in the assembly are not going to fall for that. They would try to paint you as yet another strongman trying to grab more power for himself. Okay. I can handle them. It will be done under the Reign administration. But let's say the real problem is the judiciary power, not the president's. I somewhat agree with you, sir. However, most people will not be persuaded by that. It would be tough to reach the 166 votes needed to propose such a bill. You would also be burning bridges with the reformists and the old guard. That's exactly what I'm aiming to do. That's exactly what I'm aiming to do. Of course. To clarify, before you head in any particular direction, what are your intentions, sir? Let's see. The president needs to be able to exercise his power with ease to maintain stability. I understand. We don't have to remove your veto. Instead, we can discuss limiting it with the reformist. No limiting to my veto. No, I will only support a new constitution that strengthens my position. Forget the reformists and reach out to NFP instead. Very well, we will begin to explore how to realistically pass such a constitutional change. We will form a reform committee and start talking with all stakeholders in the assembly and the court to see if such changes to the constitution would be possible. By later in the year, we should know more about the reform contents and how to balance the clauses of the new constitution. Lucian took notes. Another important point. We must be aware of the Lovberg group. The oligarchs convene under his organization to influence economic policies. Konrad Koronti led it for a long time before falling ill. The new leader is Walter Tusk. Okay, what's this? Private non-government organization would assess the economic condition. Vague structure, limited leadership roles. Okay, so this is just basically a oligarchs group, okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, despite their influence. And Mr. Walter Tusk, he is the new leader. Millionaire businessman, investor, and current spokesperson, okay. Okay. Generally regarded as the leader of the Lothenberg group, and due to his connections, the most important businessman in Swordland. According to reports, some members of the National Business Council are in their pockets. Tusks and the group will surely try to bribe us in exchange for special economic protections. Official government structure that includes most of the leading businesses leaders in Swordland. Okay. Led by Mikhail Aven, representing the private sector, and Simon Hall, representing the state sector. I won't be bought. We won't let these privileged, greedy, and snobby capitalists run the country. Let's not underestimate their influence. These are not harmless people either. Lucian looked at Petre. As far as I know, Conrad's son Marcel has strong ties to this group. His influence could definitely be an asset for us, but I'm sure he will want something in return. The group is dependent on our economic policies. They can't move a finger without us. I wouldn't be so optimistic. The capital they represent could do a lot of damage if it was diverted. We need to tread carefully on all sides, with all power players to survive our term. I need to underline the seriousness of that situation. The military and the general staff are a powerful element in the state, and as history tells us, a dangerous one too. We don't have some room to make... We do have some room to make structural changes by reducing the budget, for example, but it is quite limited. Let's see. I want to receive the advice of military before making up my mind. I want to actually be on a good... I definitely want to be on a good foot with military. It is sound to listen to them, but they have very biased, narrow opinions. Nationalism clouds their minds. General Kruger is a specter of the past. Defense Minister Josef Lancia is more loyal to us compared to General Kruger, a fact that obviously can change with our actions. Either way, I see a potential rift between the two since they are clearly of different minds. Okay. So this is national security. So he's our Minister of Defense. He looks like a potato. Oh my god. What a look. Wow. Mr. Fam. Popular figure after the wars. And respected among the nationalists. Yeah, we definitely need him then. Because... yeah, I mean, we will need military if we want to, I guess, become a dictator. He's been promoting the reformation of the army into a professional rather than conscripted force. He has a big critic of Alfonso policies. He gave his support to Anton Reign and lobbied for magic conservative support. Okay. If we act strongly against the military, both of those guys will unite against us. I agree with Lucian. We need to tread carefully here. Lucian looked at his watch. Well then, gentlemen, precisely 30 minutes. This concludes our political briefing for today. Our next meeting will be about media strategy. Talk to you soon, sir. I'll keep in touch. See you both the next morning meeting. Lucian and Perty bid their farewells and left. A mysterious amount of smoke was rising far away on the horizon. Okay. A bunch of news. Alfonso abandons Lotharbeck exclusive conclave. Former presidents announce his departure from the Lotharbeck group. Okay, interesting. Okay, what do we have? Fire strikes Holsworth State University archive. Ooh. Sudden fire broke out in the archives of the Holsworth State University, engulfing a significant part of the academic and administration building. It was put out by the local firefighters after burning for 8 hours and ravaging through the historic library, which housed many priceless documents. That's really bad. It's what, like 50s or something, right? So we probably have almost everything only in... well, for sure have everything in paper, basically only. Or almost only. Okay. Might have lost the world, or we might have lost Maricopa. We won't know until the day we can enter the facility to evaluate them. Okay. Committee for Reforms. 3 political parties has been formed for the preparation of potential changes to the Constitution. And the USP wants to appeal to the people of Swordsland to help in maintaining stability and order. Okay. National leagues. Okay. Don't care about that. Support and assembly grows for campaign finance bill. Okay. From the USB, the bill aims to change the criteria from the proportion of votes won in the general election to the proportion of seats won by a political party. Okay. This will result in an increase of about 20 million SR to the government. Oh yes. So we definitely want to do that. We want more money, for sure. Isiam incident. Okay, Black Battalion sources the incident was not an act of foreign aggression to destabilize Swordsland, but a government conspiracy to gain influence. Material related to the members of the Oligarch faction reveal startling information about the involvement of high-ranking government officials in the incident, some of which are in powerful positions to the day. What was the Izam incident? Oh, bloody protest. Ooh, okay. Okay, so the bloody protest of Bloodish movement with the Soldan project. Okay. Protests and riots. Widely attended. Okay. Rizia firmly refutes Palace's retort in Orus gas fields. Rumble coming south. Highly likely that Rumble will keep trying to push further south, threatening the territories of Swordland. That's really bad. And what do we have? Oh, so here's our overview. Policy situations. We have something new in here. Reform committee. Okay, so this is what we read about. Let's look at our situations. So, military interface in politics. Outdated military equipment. Maintaining security. Okay, so Ministry of Defense is responsible for maintaining security. Gendarmerie, a special military force. Okay. Large reservist pool. Experienced generals. Okay. With law, what do we have? Court back law, limited women's right, the Bloodish problem, judicial, some human rights, freedom of the press. Bunch of places lack economy investments. Trade volume is shit. We have ourselves a Rust Belt as well, tax evasion. Unemployment crisis. Jesus, our economy is terrible. Weak transportation. That's pretty bad. Welfare. Inconsistent curriculum. No rural education. Low quality rural healthcare. Overburdened welfare system. And soulless education. Well, we definitely want to change this education to be Rain education system. Everyone needs to know that we are the best leader forever. Right, we have corruption. Government. Special currently legal dispute regarding the jurisdiction of a special zone. Okay. Illegal immigration, organized crimes. Jesus. Lack of allies. And Nuremberg. Okay, it seems like we have a lot of problems. Nature Preservation. Nature Preservation Foundation in Leiren has organized a march promoting ecological practices and nature preservation. The event witnessed significant participation, demonstrating the local community's commitment to environmental issues. The peaceful demonstration has successfully raised awareness about Leiren's unique biodiversity and environmental challenges. Local authorities have noted the event and the message conveyed by the foundation. We have new gas fields. Okay. Has announced the new gas field discoveries in Narbel. Discoveries could enhance the city's energy supply and play a significant role in the broader energy landscape of Swordland. Preliminary analysis of the yield and quality of these fields is currently underway. The corporation will soon release a comprehensive report outlining extraction feasibility. The economic implications of these findings, particularly regarding the potential growth and job creation in the region, are noteworthy. Then we have increasing homelessness. The region of Bergia is among the worst hit regions in Swordland, where homelessness has skyrocketed since the economic recession. The number of homeless in the city of there is more likely to have increased by 25% the last year. The rise was particularly stark among Bloodish people, where homelessness increased by 72% in just 6 years. That is crazy. It is reported that the homelessness among ethnic minorities has reached the highest level in more than a decade. The Bloodish minority of the region has now accounts for up to 47% of all homeless people there. GNA prepares Tourist Act. The Grand National Assembly in Holsort is readying the Swordland Tourism and Culture Preservation Act. This act aims to enhance the culture and tourism appeal of several cities, including Borin, Ribery, Lakaven, Anrika, and Benfi. in a collective push to make Swordland global tourist destination. A fire broke out in academic administration building of Holsworth State University. The initial report from the chief of police in Holsworth indicate a near-to-complete destruction of employee records from 1890 until now. That is really bad. Along with original copies of internationally recognized academic research destroyed. The extent of the damage is worse than expected. People's view on the need for democratic reform in the government structure has changed over the last decade. Reformist propaganda from the leader of the People's Freedom and Justice Party, Franz Richter, have resulted in a massive increase in the demands for democratic reforms. It is estimated that currently 55% of the population supports the reformist ideas. Okay, that's all. And then we go to our current economic situation. Simon Hall, Gus Munger, and Lilias Graf were about to arrive at the White Room for our scheduled economy meeting. This was the room in the Maroon Palace where all important meetings were held. So who is he? Politician, businessman, Minister of Economy, Commerce and Energy. Okay. Co-chairman of the National Business Council. So former chairman of the Central Bank. Famous for his promotion of free market economy. Okay. Interesting. And then we have Gus Munger, politician, businessman who served as the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. Let's see. He's the only cabinet member who managed to retain a minister position from the Alfonso administration. Interesting. All landowners. Helping his home region find foreign direct investment. He diversified his investments. Okay. Interesting. His strong relation with the city. Acquire a minority ownership of FC Enrica. Deputy Minister of Economy. Landmark trade deals between countries like Rizia, Lesbia, and Anraka to improve the trade deficit of Swordland. Okay. The free econs consisting of Edith Agnok. Okay, interesting. And then we have Lilias Graf, current Minister of Interior of Swordland. Okay, we will need her for sure, because we need strong interior policies if we want to, you know, usurp the absolute power. Okay. She was a staff surgeon of the Women's Army Corps. Okay. Mayor of Arvory. Mayor of Holsworth. Okay. Various housing, finance, and security policies. Nationwide popularity. Promoted by Saul. Okay, so she transformed Holsworth. Around central figures in the party. Okay, good to know. Ready for the economic booms in both Arvory and Holsworth. Supporting socially conservative politics throughout her career. Expert on urban development and police relations. Okay. Conservative. Okay. Let's see. Two assistants arrived first, carrying a heavy projector. They stood with it by the door, waiting for the ministers to enter. From the hallway, I heard Lilias Graf's voice. She was using the patient, almost motherly tone she often took in heated arguments. Gus, do you really think that such an economically advanced area is more in need of investment than Angland? Lilias, my interior minister, strode in. She was clad in shades of brown and beige. The only spot of color, a bright yellow dust-nourished cross on her necklace. Gus followed close behind. Don't be an idiot, Lilias. What about the unemployment crisis in the greater Holsworth and Gelsand regions are going through? These areas are economic heartland. Gus curled his hands into fists. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development temper hadn't changed since his days in the Alfonso administration, but neither has his reputation for getting things done. His far-reaching network of connections was unlike any other. Simon Hall quickly stepped between the two ministers without looking at either of them. He cleared his throat. Good morning, Mr. President. What is this debate about? Just a disagreement in the internal economic strategy, President Rain. Not sure if I would call it disagreement, Lilias. Lilias, can you explain the situation? Mr. Munger proposes that we should invest in already developed regions. Meanwhile, many cities in Agland like Lenkurk or Arvory still don't have the basic commodities delivered in time. Lilias, could you elaborate? Of course. The argument is simple. Agland is our weakest region, both in terms of economic and social support. We should support the city of Arvory and its respected mayor. How impartial can you really be? Simon was observing the argument. What are your thoughts, Simon? I have to say that I agree with both of them. Agland is in need of investment, and we can improve Greater Holsord and Gelsland. Wow, a real fence-sitter, huh? I want to avoid this topic now, since we will talk about it in the future. I would rather first fully brief you on our current economic situation. Simon pulled a silk handkerchief out of his pocket and briefly wiped his glasses. My staff and I have been comprehensively analyzing every aspect of. He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of whom were now visibly struggling to hold up the heavy projector. Oh, you can put it there. He pointed below the painting of President Sol. The assistants placed the projector next to the table and installed a wide screen on the wall. Leave now. I mean, thank you, and please leave now. The assistants left the cabinet room. I was reminded that Simon had never quite had a way with people, but his facility with numbers had made him the most sought-after economic specialist in Swordland. Simon started looking for his slides. He always carried documentation around with him. Wait. Lilias leaned to the table and spoke. Simon, what happened to the new police station construction in Estort? Okay, this is Estort. Most oil-rich city of Swordland. Okay. Turn when the mines run dry. The current situation is bleak. Local blockades. Public services are barely keeping up. Okay. While going through his briefing, he paused for a moment to answer. It got stalled due to a government property boundary issue. I have been meaning to look at it. I can take a look at that one. Esther needs all the security help it can get. Sure, more time for me to spend on analysis. His eyes glittered when he finally found the slides he was looking for. There have been some development about the Swordfish Wren losing further value today. Sorry. We have been trying to stabilize it with the central bank. The recession of 51 put enormous pressure on the economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was a significant cause of concern for our administration. What would you like to know about the current economic situation? What is our GDP and debt situation? Our current GDP is 310 billion Swordfish Wren, and the national debt is 427 billion. It's still hard to fathom that we lost nearly 150 billion in wealth. The past 3 years were tough. What is our unemployment and inflation rate? Unemployment has skyrocketed and is now at staggering 16%. That is really bad. Holy shit. And the inflation is at a relatively high of 10%. Unemployment is increasing crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. The inflation isn't helping our average citizen either. Okay, what is the status of the recession? The economy has been in recession of about -6% in the past year. The average GDP has dropped from 15,000 per capita to 10,000 from 1951 to now. This administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. The sooner we reach GDP growth, the better. Okay, I have all the information needed. Let's move on to the economic strategy. Simon scattered the papers stacked in front of him in an orderly manner and took a final look at the notes before clearing his throat. As you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. The extensive privatization program of Alfonso and key foreign direct investment left us a large budget surplus, which we can use to stabilize the crisis. The primary subject we need to settle on is the general path we will be taking in our term. Solonomics-based nationalism happened in the 30s, and unfulfilled privatization began during the end of the 40s. What will our administration focus on? One of our main promises was to promote a planned economy to stop the recession. To be frank, I still don't think this was a good idea. We shouldn't go back to Solonomics, it is the reason for recession. Self-sufficiency will help us in tough times. Okay. The more of the economy we control, the better we can manage the recession. That is a fair argument to be made, but if we reduce the freedom of people in the marketplace in general, it would hinder our innovation and dynamism in the supply and demand equation. Say what you will about Alfonso, without his attempts, our current coffers would be empty and the recession would be a depression. One way to be remembered positively is to cause a recession and leave a few bills behind. The structural problems of Solonomics were going to lead to a recession according to the predictions at the time, anyway. Either way, even if we pick one of the doctrines, we retain the option to make economic choices on a case-by-case basis. That is, however, not recommended in my point of view. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. Finally, something we can both agree on, Lilias. There is another important factor which has a direct impact on our economy: superpowers. We have done well not aligning ourselves with any of them. Economically speaking, an isolationist policy overall could only work if we were to reap the benefits of both spheres and their rivalry. This is a very dangerous attempt, but still possible. We must be very cautious. There are schemes being devised about Swordland. We cannot give in to their wants now or in the future, otherwise our country will turn into a pawn. Swordland will not be controlled by any nations. Precisely my point. We will stand strong and show an example to the world. I hope you won't regret this. Lilias had a sip of water from her glass. When the time comes, I hope you'll make the right decision for our own good. We should attract more foreign direct investment, Mr. President. We saved the country from a full-on depression in the 52 and 53 by signing lucrative deals with the nations such as Risia, Lesbia, and Kinal. Okay, Kingdom of Risia. Riz. Okay. Okay, that's too long. I'm not going to read this, but feel free to pause and read if you want. Parliamentary Republic. Okay. There you go. That is a long description. Okay, Lesbia is done, and then Kinal. That's a cool flag. Days and Alpha minor segment, okay. Religious landscape. Okay, so I guess these are going to be kind of religious ones. Alright. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Minister Visi will be in charge of informing you on all those types of foreign policy decisions. We must first decide on our internal economic plan. Simon put forward a legal document outlining the possibilities with both economic doctrines listed. Cabinet members looked at me. Okay. Okay. What's on our long-term economic schedule? Picking a construction company, trade relations, tax reform, and welfare privatization or nationalization initiative would be some of them. We must choose wisely and remember that the free market economy in all forms is the future of the world. I wouldn't be so sure. Alright, let's move on to the conclusion. What are your final thoughts, presidents? Okay. Let's see. Critical institutions must remain in state control. We must be fully responsible in delivering services. Market economy doesn't mean privatization of every single institution, but either way, you make the choices. So what will our general economic plan promote? Promote a planned economy as we promised. Not sure if we made the right decision here. Gus looked worried. Now that there is a clarity on which direction we are heading, I will work on a good plan accordingly. This concludes our meeting. At our next gathering, we will talk about the upcoming infrastructure investment plan. Now that the economic direction was decided upon, the ministers dispersed for lunch at the Maroon Palace. Right. What do we have? Armadine Industries, pioneering electronics. Okay, again, feel free to pause to read the full document, or not the full document, but the full article. Tourism, beacon of hope. Freezing temperatures recorded. Okay. What was it? Minus 29. Jesus Christ. Okay, economic meeting. Nationalist violence. Beaten with baseball bats in a paramilitary style attack in Arvory. Okay. He was approached during a walk by the park by a group of right-wing extremists who are suspected of being regulars of the National Front Party. Okay. Alfonso ditches Lothenberg, a sign of discord. And what do we have new here? I guess it's going to be a promote planned economy. Okay.